Okay.
All right, let's do this. Let's do it. All right. We are back again with another episode of You Gotta Hear This. Once again, I'm joined by Mike Manzetta.
The Last of Us 2 is a B- video game.
All right. Greg Urquhart.
Merry Christmas.
Anything odd to say? Okay, not just Merry Christmas. All right. And
But maybe too, for the next introduction, when you say you gotta hear this, we could all say a word, like I'll say you, Joe could say gotta, Mike can say here, and then you could say this.
That's a good idea.
I don't hate that at all.
Should we try it right now?
No.
Okay.
You gotta
Here.
This.
Man, that was as amazing as I thought it was gonna be.
We'll rehearse it before next week's episode. So.
And Joe's here.
Hello. I said Joe.
Sorry,
I did say Joe Boynton, but I think he was being talked over. Sorry about that, Joe.
It's the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, you know, you got to understand being talked over for Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
I do like your setup, Greg.
Thanks.
Very.
This is a very this is a very old. That's one of Nicole's grandmother's decorations. It's one of those ceramic trees with a little screw-in lights.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
very festive.
Yeah.
Very festive.
This is a real tree.
Beautiful.
Smells great.
Thank you for clarifying, by the way, which one was the ceramic one and which one was the real one. It was blowing my mind
Well, it could have been a fake tree made out of plastic. So.
Oh, sure.
Or a very detailed ceramic tree.
Yeah.
All right. So last week, we don't have to spend too much time on it, but I felt like we got the most response from last week's episode on the internet than we have so far. We got lots of responses about other people's songs that would play on repeat in hell. I know for me, just on mine, I think we have them all. I'm sure you guys all have your own ones, but our friend Chelsea had a good point that I hadn't even thought of. She went a kind of a different route with Sarah McLachlan and In the Arms of Angels.
I think if you're a cat, that's the song that plays. If you're an unadopted cat, that's the song that plays on hell over and over.
Did Chelsea also say tub thumping? Someone said tub thumping.
I think someone else said that. I think Camille might have said that.
I think Camille, yes.
Yeah, Camille responded to Chelsea with tub thumping, which I actually kind of like that song.
I can't stand it. I cannot stand it.
It's a very inspirational message. I really enjoy tub thumping.
If you actually tub thumped before, the song definitely opens up new windows and new doors to its meaning, and it becomes just so much more special.
Yeah, quick side note, just to kind of explain what Joe is talking about, is we do every year, kind of all of our friends do this sort of winter getaway where we go up to a cabin. And when we kick it off, not all of us participate in this, but some of us, we do, in the spirit of tub thumping, we'll do a liquor drink, a vodka drink, a lager drink, and a cider drink, and we'll just shoot them real quick in the spirit of tub thumping.
I always watch from a distance and just shake my head.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one on this call that does it. But
Joe, and I thought I was going to throw up immediately from it, and I didn't throw up. You can handle it. It's safe to do in the right company, and I was nervous about doing it. I was like, "There's no way I'm going to handle this," and it was fine. And I'm glad I did it. It's one check off my bucket list. So
I forget, with the lager drink and the cider drink, do you do a shot of those, or do you actually drink a pint?
I feel like it needs to be the full drink.
Technically, it should be a pint.
We just do a shot. We just do a shot because we need that buffer. But
that's probably smarter for your liver.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We got a lot of great feedback from the last episode. There was somebody, I think it might have been on John's page, that listed a bunch of late 90s songs like Blue and Barbie Song. And I unironically like a lot of those songs.
Yeah. You said that. I was a little surprised. The Barbie Song is I feel like that's getting close to my pick from last week. The Zingabus song.
I listened to Nicole Never Heard It's Friday.
Oh, wow.
So after we were in bed watching TV, and then I put the video on, and I think she lasted like 17 seconds.
Really?
Tough.
It's
Really
like a
killed the mood.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, that's not necessarily what you want to put on in bed.
Yeah. And then I went
Depending on your nights.
I did go to her
Unless it's
Instagram.
Friday. Unless it's Friday and it's time to get down.
It was Sunday. So,
Oh.
That's the problem.
so I did go to Rebecca Black's Instagram because I was very curious on how she kind of went up or down. But I think she's having maybe an identity crisis.
Oh yeah,
Really?
what's that?
Did it
I don't know,
really?
just different color hair every picture. She's
Hmm.
a lot of selfies.
Mm-hmm.
All
Not
right.
that means you're having a bad time, but
Oh yeah, that kind of sounds like typical Instagram, but I don't know.
I was gonna say very similar to your Instagram account.
yep. Every Friday I have a different color hair, wig, and I'm ready to get down.
As long as you're getting down on Friday, that's all that matters.
Yeah, don't feel like there's any pressure to get down on any other different day, but you've got to get down on Friday. That's
You know what I'm not doing on Friday?
What?
Getting up. You're welcome. All right, let's move on.
All right, wait, one last thing. I have to just address the brief controversy from Garrett Dale,
Oh yeah.
who's our friend from Red City Radio,
Mhm.
who actually just put out a record that's very good. But he is a fan of Meatloaf and took
Yeah.
issue with Greg's pick. And I was a little surprised. I mean, because I feel like Meatloaf, okay, like in general, but that particular song, I was surprised to see anyone defending it.
I had my friend Brendan on Long Island. He's a subscriber, so hello, Brendan. He loves Bad Out of Hell, that album, and he
Oh,
put up some serious arguments. So
Anything that changed your mind?
no, it's still garbage.
What does he love about it? What was his argument for?
I think and like, no offense to him, he has a very good taste in music, but I just think growing up on Long Island, you have like WBAB that just pumps out crap, like old classic rock songs, and that was one of like the top 10 songs they would always play. It goes along with your Maroon 5 thing, like we're cultured to think this is good music.
Right.
So
Though to be fair, though, they are also the reason that I thought Billy Joel had like 35 #1 hit singles.
I remember you talking about that. I remember you brought that up.
well, BAB would play Billy Joel songs that no one else in the country would know about.
Yeah, and I thought that everywhere in the country was playing those same songs on the radio all the time. I had no idea it was just one radio station on Long Island.
You can't go to like Florida and expect to hear scenes from an Italian restaurant on the radio.
I didn't know that until
Yeah.
I went to
You're not
Florida.
you're not gonna go to Alabama and see the Allentown video. That's not
Yeah.
how it works.
It's actually banned in
In South
Carolina.
Carolina.
Eroticism.
With
Yeah.
good reason. Yeah, I think last week was very controversial and fun.
Yeah, definitely
Great
got
episode.
people talking, so that's good. We're stirring things up over here. So this week, maybe less controversial. I don't know. I guess it depends what everyone picks.
Mm-hmm.
As usual, we haven't talked about our individual selections before we film this. So this week is going to be about favorite lyricist. And I guess this one, we talked about, it's really about favorites. So I guess we're not talking, we're talking personal preference here. I found myself getting into a little bit of best of all time mode when I got into this. So I might be the only one who did that. I don't know if you guys did or not.
I did not do that at all.
No,
In the least bit.
I went personal preference.
Yeah, I'm not sure what put me on that road, but that's where I got. So this one probably will be less controversial because it's unless Mike also decides to insult millions of people.
You picked Train. If your choice was Train, then yeah.
You know what? After last week, I started listening to some Train, and Hey, his lyrics really got to me.
That's so funny. That's so funny you say that, because I started thinking about that song as well, and I was like, okay, she listens like June. Like, all right, she's open, she's vibrant, she's blooming. I don't know. I did start to think about it for about 30 seconds, and I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing?
Yeah, that was probably smart.
Yeah. Then I went to go check out some Mozart. I like it. You should all look into it.
I've heard good things about that Mozart. And
not the best lyricist.
No.
So who do you got, John?
All right. So like I said, so I thought about it a lot, and there's a lot of ways I could have gone, but I ended up landing on Bob Dylan.
Oh, wow.
And I think maybe that's what sent me down like the road that I went on, because that started kind of like sent me digging into his history and his influence on people, and so eventually I kind of found myself going full Joe Boynton on this one. And I did a lot of research, took a lot of notes this week. I don't think I've taken really hardly any notes so far, and this time I went down this Bob Dylan path that really was fun for me. So the thing was that I think that what's kind of interesting to me is I didn't really enjoy Bob Dylan's music until I was like in my mid 20s, which is, pretty late, because I listened to a lot of classic rock music in as a teenager, but I just like couldn't really get into Bob Dylan. And then something clicked for me when I was about 26 or 25 or so. And
4 years ago.
Yes, exactly. You know how old I am. And I just like, once it clicked, I was like all in. And then probably about like in my late 20s, early 30s, went on like a deep dive through his entire catalog. And there's a lot there, he never really stopped putting out music from the early 60s basically until today. I mean, I think maybe there's been a few years break at the most between an album, so there's a ton to go through. But one thing that really struck me, and as I'm going to consult my notes here, is so 1963, if Bob Dylan's second album is out. It's the first one though that he's done of all his own material. Like his first one was a lot of like standards and like old folk songs that other people wrote. So on that album, we have Blowin' in the Wind, which I feel like is one that almost everybody in the world knows. It's like a weird thing where I feel like it's not like it's played on the radio all the time or something. It's just like kind of become part of the collective conscious of like America and a lot of the world, I think. And I feel like the more I was thinking about it, a lot of his songs are like that. Which is an interesting thing. So he has Blowin' in the Wind, Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, which maybe not as well known as Blowin' in the Wind, but I feel like that's another one most people are familiar with, even if you don't know Bob Dylan. Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, is, again, maybe not across the board, everyone knows that one, but I think pretty well known without being an extremely radio friendly, played all the time song. And another song called Masters of War, which is probably like the least well known from of the ones I just mentioned. But Masters of War, extremely like heavy protest song, calling out basically government and corporations that are profiting off of war. So the big thing that struck me too about this is that, so all of these songs, it's really the lyrics, I think, that make the song. You can say a lot of positive things about the melodies and the chord progressions and stuff, but everything is really about the lyrics. And so then looking into that even more, so I was thinking about the Beatles. And so you have the Beatles around the same time getting popular, and they're doing stuff like Please Please Me, Love Me Do, I Saw Her Standing There. it's like all good songs, but if you're going to look at the lyrics, you know, not a whole lot there. It's like pretty typical relationship, boy girl stuff. And it's a pretty big contrast. 1963, those two albums, them doing the same thing at the same time. And so then it ends up that the Beatles end up being big fans of Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan ends up meeting the Beatles at some point. They kind of like talk and hit it off. Supposedly he introduced them to marijuana, which is a whole nother story. And maybe had some influence. I don't know, maybe that changed their lyrical perspective. But I read this quote from John Lennon. So he says this in relationship to meeting Bob Dylan. He says, "I had a sort of professional songwriter's attitude to writing pop songs. We turn out a certain type of style of song for a single. I'd have a separate songwriting John Lennon who wrote songs for the meat market. I didn't consider them to have any depth at all. Then I started being me about the songs, not writing them objectively, but subjectively. I started thinking about my own emotions instead of projecting myself into a situation. I tried to express what I felt about myself, and it was Dylan who helped me realize that." So the Beatles start listening to Bob Dylan and start talking with him, and that basically, like, from what John Lennon is saying, like changes his whole perspective on writing lyrics. And then you can see it too, because then the Beatles by like 1964 are writing songs that it's not, they're not like fully there yet, but they're huge departures from that stuff. They're like Norwegian Wood, which is a very Dylan-y song. There's with I'm a Loser, which is I think one of John Lennon's first like really personal kind of like negative songs. Nowhere Man, these songs that are really a lot more emotional and more like kind of introspective. But so that's within like 2 years or so, they're kind of changing their whole course of lyric writing based on what they've heard from Bob Dylan. And so that alone, I feel like you got to, I mean, Bob Dylan's lyrical approach to songwriting changed the course of the Beatles' approach to songwriting, which, you know, changed the course of, I think, almost everybody's approach to songwriting in the 60s and so on and so on. So that's like just the starting point. I kind of dug in and kept going through his discography after that. And, you know, it's just, it's crazy that like the Times They Are Changing was the next album, which another song I feel like everybody knows. And again, like lyrically, you can just sit with that on paper and it's just really poignant and poetic. Only a Pawn in Their Game is on that one, With God on Our Side. Like these are really like deep, intense lyrical songs. And then he's got these other songs like It Ain't Me, Babe. These ones like that are kind of these breakup songs that are a little more, they're not as heavy, but they're still amazing. Like, and that's another one. He kind of has that going too. That these love songs and these protest songs. He covers a lot of ground, and he does it all, I feel like, on an equally deep level. And then by Bringing It All Back Home, which is 66, this is like 3 years after that first album I was talking about. And then you have Mr. Tambourine Man, which again, another one I feel like everybody knows. That also might be that first one that became a big hit from somebody else covering it. And that's a big thing with him, obviously. And I think there's something to that, like he's got these amazing songs and these amazing lyrics, but his approach to them is not the most like polished. It's not really, he's not trying to like get on the radio or, you know, he's not trying to do anything but be himself. But then other people take them and they have these huge hits. So I think that Mr. Tambourine Man might have been one of the first, or maybe Blowing in the Wind. I don't know. Maybe Peter, Paul, and Mary, I think, had a kind of a hit with that. That one also has one of my favorite lyrics, maybe of all time. There's a verse where he says, to dance beneath the diamond sky with one hand waving free, silhouetted by the sea, circled by the circus sands, with all memory and fate driven deep beneath the waves, let me forget about today until tomorrow. And that one like hits me every time I think about it. And it's just like one part in this whole amazing song. And I could go through every single album and find a line like that hits me on that level. And it's really an amazing thing, like the amount of ground he's covered, the amount of albums he's put out with like consistently great lyrics, and also consistently covering, you know, so much ground. So I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to take a breath here and stop for a minute.
That's awesome. No, I will ask you, how has he personally influenced your songwriting?
I think the biggest way that he's influenced my songwriting is that I've tried to hold myself, I think, to a higher standard, maybe after reading some of what he's done. I've also realized that I think what he did was so unique to himself. And he also took a lot from other people as well. But I think he was able to kind of take things from other people and still make it his own and express himself in a way that like only he could. And I think that that's really inspired me in a lot of ways. Like both of those things is that you got to be yourself in your songs at the end of it. And you can take from other places, but if you do, you've got to translate it in a way that only you could, or, you know, like make it your own. And that's the only way you can work with something that's coming from somebody else. Those have been pretty big for me.
Recipe almost.
What's that?
Almost like a family recipe. Like you can only get this type of thing here. Like you can only get Bob Dylan with Bob Dylan. You can't, if someone else tries to emulate what he's doing, it's never going to be the same. And I think like that's the most powerful thing anyone in music brings to the table is that fingerprint. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And his is huge. Like that's what I'm saying. It's just his influence and who he is, like, is just it's changed the course of music in ways that I wasn't even totally aware of until recently. So I mean, that's inspiring. I think that's a big thing. It's just very inspiring. I don't expect to ever change the course of music in any way or have any kind of influence that matches his or be on any kind of level that he is. But the inspiration of being able to look at somebody who's done that and also see that they've continued to do it for 50 years, you know, it gives you something to aim for. And I feel like if you aim for that and miss even by like 75%, you're still going to be doing really well.
I have to ask this question. I apologize if this is really weird. I understand that it might be, but I think it's a very real possibility that there is a young musician out there that if you were to ask who is your favorite lyricist, they would say John Nolan, or they might say Joe. And so what do you think about that? Like, what would your advice be to somebody like that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
For me, like, it's always, I think when something hits you and it becomes your favorite, it's always the right place and time. I remember when I was a sophomore in high school and I first heard a Straight Light Run song. It was Existentialism on Prom Night. I remember hearing those lyrics and being like, wow. And then hearing other bands around the exact same time as your band and not caring as much about those bands because of the lyrics in that song. And then, yeah, I feel like it's always time and a place. You're going through something in life, you hear this one song, and all the pieces connect together, and everything kind of falls into place, and you're like, yeah, I can get through this breakup, or I can get through this, problem, or I can get through school, just from one lyric, one song, or one band. Yeah, I always think it's time and place with music. It's always been that way with me, at least, as a fan.
Yeah. I mean, but what do you think? Like, what do you think when people tell you, like, you're their favorite lyricist?
You say thanks, man. That's awesome.
No. I'm sure there's more of an appreciation than that.
Yeah, I always say I'm very thankful to be a part of something that's brought positivity to your life. And that's usually what I say, and that's how I feel. So it's just cool to be a positive aspect of someone's life. They found you somehow through the internet, or through a friend, or through a playlist, or a mixed CD, and a bridge was formed, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of trouble accepting those type of compliments throughout my life, and I still have trouble with it, but I can accept it. But for a long time, I think I immediately just felt like, well, no, there's all these other people that are so much better than me that you should be listening to and liking their lyrics, because I'm like at the bottom of a very, very, very long list of writers. And I think my first instinct was to kind of just defer to everybody who was better than me. And now I've learned to just accept compliments a little bit more.
I wish I related music to food. It's like we had a friend stay over, and I made breakfast sandwiches, and he was like, "This was great, Joe." And I'm like, "Thanks."
Same with lyrics.
A great breakfast sandwich, or I made you a great bowl of spaghetti meatballs. Like, thanks, man. Like, that's how I always take it. I always see these connections between music and food, and I think maybe it's because I'm older, I'm obsessed with food now, but like everything about food and music to me just makes sense.
It's a great song is the same as a great breakfast sandwich.
Yeah, great breakfast sandwich.
I couldn't have said it better.
Oh, that's good. So one last thing I want to say about Bob Dylan is that I've kept like digging through his whole discography, because he's one of the rare artists who's put out 50 years of music that I've listened to most of it. So I was trying to like review everything, and a lot of the stuff I think is pretty common knowledge, the stuff that he's written that's popular. Things like All Along the Watchtower, which was in the 70s, like 10 years after the beginning of his career. But, Jimi Hendrix made that a big hit. And then there's Knocking on Heaven's Door, which again was kind of 10 years or 12 years.
I forgot he wrote that. He wrote
a lot of songs like that. Yeah. It's weird. Like there's, and also like both of those songs were like in a period where like he was not very popular. The albums they're on, like there's almost no other song that anyone would know. But, people picked up on those particular ones and, made them into hits. And then like a big one like that is To Make You Feel My Love. You know that song?
I don't know that one.
It's so Greg would know that one from Billy Joel, right? You know that.
Didn't he cover that, or he played it, right?
So yeah, Billy Joel, Bob Dylan wrote it, and I think Bob Dylan was like in a phase where he was like kind of like looking around to see. This is like I gotta check my notes. I think this was in the 90s.
Like River of Dreams era.
What's that?
It's right around when River of Dreams came out. It's not on that album, is it?
No. So Billy Joel was about to put out his like greatest hits anthology, but he needed a new song. Like, they usually add a new song to those.
Right.
So he was looking for something, and Bob Dylan happened to be, I think, like throwing some songs out there to see if anybody wanted them. And so Billy Joel decided to do that one, and it ended up being a big hit. Bob Dylan released it after the fact, like on one of his records. But then Garth Brooks covered it. Adele covered it. I don't know how long ago, but everybody that covered it like had like a huge amount of success.
And then Chris Gaines covered it.
And then Chris Gaines covered it. And nobody liked that. I always like.
You said something funny earlier, like Bob Dylan was sending out songs to see if anybody wanted to pick them up. I feel like that's a hard yes. I feel like if Bob Dylan was like, "Hey man, I've got a few songs if you need any," I'd be like, "Yeah." Nobody's gonna be like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah. I mean, I guess in the '90s though, maybe it maybe wasn't as good of easy to sell. I'm not sure.
Bob Dylan, a part of the Traveling Wilburys. Do you remember the Traveling Wilburys?
Yeah.
Were they the first super group? They were the first.
Jeffrey Lynne.
Wait, who is it?
Wait, was Jeffrey Lynne in that? Yeah.
Jeff Lynne,
I don't know.
Yeah, Jeffrey Lynne.
They were the first Velvet Revolver, I think. Who was in Traveling Wilburys? I'll stop interrupting.
Yeah.
Who was?
George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Jeffrey Lynne, Roy Orbison, Tom Petty.
Yep.
Oh, so this is like a We Are the World scenario. So there's like 20 people in the band?
No, it's 5 people, right?
Yeah, it was it was fun. For that era, I mean, it was awesome. I like them. They're really, really good.
Yeah, and that's a crazy thing too of I think that Jeff Lynne helped pull that together because he was kind of a producer, but also the ELO guy. He's the guy that whenever anybody sees a Traveling Wilburys video, they say, "Who's that guy?"
Mm-hmm. He's
Kind
great
of like
hair.
Great in
Great
the We
hair.
Are.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan was Lucky Wilbury, and then Otis Redding was Otis Wilbury, Lefty Wilbury, Nelson Wilbury, Charlie Wilbury Jr.
Are you saying they had aliases?
They had aliases. If you look on Volume 1, aliases. That's funny. Spike Wilbury, Clayton Wilbury, Muddy Wilbury, and Boo Wilbury. That was Bob Dylan.
They were like the cool kids table of that era of music.
Yeah, I mean, except though you have to think though, what is this, 86 or something? Like Tom Petty was probably the only one who was currently putting out popular music, right? Like I don't think Roy Orbison had a lot of hits in the 80s. I know Bob Dylan did not. George Harrison probably had a couple.
88 to 91.
Right? Okay.
Wow.
So and then you also think about what's happening in popular music, like the hair metal, and then I don't know, whatever else is going on in the 80s that was mediocre to bad, but very popular. I feel like, they're like the cool table, but like old men at the cool table probably at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Not very hip exactly by the standard of the era.
Yeah.
But that's a cool thing that even happened. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable. And I read some stuff about them that part of what brought them together is they all kind of knew each other and were friendly, and they were in the studio. George Harrison was in the studio with Jeff Lynne, and they ended up calling people to come do a track or something, and they ended up hanging out and recording, and it was kind of set very organic, they just had fun in the studio together and had fun hanging out. And so they're like, yeah, let's just keep writing songs and putting them out. And it was just for fun basically, which is an amazing thing to think about, guys at that level just
right
to hang out and have fun.
Music for music's sake.
That's so interesting. I write websites for a job, and it would be so interesting if I called some people up and said, "Hey man, come over to my house and we'll write some websites." You don't really think about that in that term. So it's so cool.
Yeah. Do you have any friends who write websites that you really like their work and you enjoy hanging out with them? You write great websites.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't really like to talk about this, but I'm in sort of a super group of website writers. It's me and Bill Gates and the ghost of the Apple
Steve
guy.
Jobs?
Yeah, the ghost of Steve Jobs.
You call yourselves the web slingers?
We have a Ouija board, and he sort of guides our hands. He's like minimalist. Everything, it always comes up to minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
With Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
It's always trying to get you guys to eat.
Nolan Bushnell is in my super group, the founder of Atari.
Oh, that's the one's over my head. I don't know. That
Also,
Yeah.
Super Mario is in my
Mario himself is in your
Super
drawer.
Mario. No,
Not the
Super
guy
Mario.
who made the
Joe,
video.
Joe, Super Mario.
Man, I had no
Oh,
idea this whole
man.
time.
All right,
Mike, bring us back on track. Give
All
us your.
right.
is it time for me to go? I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I think I got to stop. I realized after this thing that I could talk about Bob Dylan all day. I have so many more notes and so many more things to get down, and I need to stop. So you go ahead.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk super quick. But I think in the discussion of greatest lyricists or my favorite lyricists, I think one has to delve into the world of hip hop in order to determine a great lyricist, because I'm so fascinated by the wordplay. I think it's one thing to write a very profound lyric that's going to resonate with everybody, and that's a talent. But I really appreciate the wordplay of hip hop. And so again, I'm talking super quick because I know the time is short. But my pick is Eminem, which is very, very hard for me to say because I hate Eminem. I do not like him as an artist. I don't like his music. I think he sounds whiny. He strikes me as like an English nerd. And I don't mean English like British. I mean like a kid who was really good in English class, who would sit in the back and everyone used to make fun of him, and he used to write rap lyrics in his journal. But they're so amazing, and I just, it's so fascinating to think of, like, if somebody with Eminem's writing ability had a better, like, more authoritative voice, what could have happened. But I think Eminem's doing fine. I don't think my criticism is gonna take any offense to him. And I'm just looking at my notes here, and Eminem has a song. This all goes back to a song that Eminem has called Survival. I don't know if any of you guys or anybody listening has a gym playlist, but you need to put Survival on your gym playlist. Survival is a song from T to B, from top to bottom. Not a single word in the entire song is filler. Every word is immaculately placed, but also every single word in this song, Survival by Eminem, is wordplay. It could mean something else. It's got a double meaning. It's masterfully crafted. And this is so hard for me to say because I hate Eminem, but this song is amazing, amazing. And I thought about like Wu-Tang Clan. I thought about Kendrick Lamar, but just this one song pushed it over the edge. But so that's that. I don't want to talk about that. So I want to get into another pick that I have. But before I get into that, and I'm going to talk super fast. Before I get into this lyricist, I have to talk about my favorite boxer of all time, which is Mickey Ward, Irish Mickey Ward. He's a scrapper. He's what's called a club fighter. Nobody's going to accuse Mickey Ward of being a technician. He's a brawler. He's a slugger. He just comes in. He's willing to take 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 shots just to get one shot off. He came into boxing when he was 35. He never held a title of any significance, but his big punch is the left hook. And Mickey Ward will come in and he will take a barrage of punches just to get you with that left hook. And if he does, you're done. You're out. And that's the one thing he's got. And if he gets you, game over. So I want to give a little credit where I think credit is not due to a lyricist who sort of walks in the same shoes as Mickey Ward. And I think you guys are going to think I'm fucking with you and bullshitting, but I'm not. This is 100% sincere. And that lyricist is Anthony Kiedis. I know that, and I'm going to open this up to discussion, so I don't want to just talk. I know Anthony Kiedis wrote an entire verse that went bong diddy bong dong da dong dong. I know he did that. But if you're writing a song about a drug addict who lives in California, there's no better lyricist than Anthony Kiedis. Under the Bridge is brilliant. And I know Anthony Kiedis takes a lot of shit because everything he writes is about California, but he's writing what he knows. And every time he does, he nails it. I'm obsessed with California. I have a big obsession with California, and more specifically 80s California. And I lived there for about 3 years. And Anthony Kiedis really captures what it's like to live in California and the things he says. And I think John kind of mentioned this earlier is he's not trying to write. He's writing what he knows. And that comes off as so genuine that it really hits home. I think when you listen to a Red Hot Chili Peppers song, you know that you're listening to a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. There's no band that could do what they do. He's got a brand. And I kind of mentioned this in the Perfect Catalog album, like Nirvana is always on brand. Red Hot Chili Peppers is always Red Hot Chili Peppers. And there's no other band that can do what they do. And so much of that, I think, is due to Anthony Kiedis's lyrics. Not profound, not great. I'm not going to use any of his lyrics as my senior quote in my yearbook, but for doing what they do, he is absolutely amazing. And so I'm going to open it up for discussion. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about that.
So I'm guessing, so your analogy with the boxer was that like when Anthony Kiedis gets it, it's that
game over. It's
proverbial left hook that knocks you out, and he's done it.
And
with that as your analogy, I can see your point.
Yeah, he's going to take a lot of shots. Like, he's not going to land every one, but when he gets that one in, it's game over. That's game over.
What's an example?
I think Under the Bridge is a fantastic song. I like California.
Like what's an example for that one knockout lyric?
No, there's no knockout lyric. It's the whole song. I would say,
Okay.
yeah, I would say Under the Bridge. I would say Californication. I would say just the things he says, just the words that he places in songs are just very reflective of a California experience. And I can't really describe it any better than that.
It always bothered me how he enunciated so, like, to the point. Like, he's very good at, he's good at it, I just don't like it. Like the way he pronounces everything, like, specifically, and very, there's a term for it, but like, he's very, I can't think of the word, but it's like, when he's saying something, he's very distinct with like the syllables and the sounds of each word, like almost like staccato-ish. Or
okay, yeah. And I want to be clear. Like I said this earlier, but it's not like he's profound. It's not like he's saying anything that's touching me before. But he's just so unique at what he does.
How many people on his team do you think he fired for suggesting he write about something other than California?
A lot. A lot. I remember in the group chat, we were going through their lyrics a little bit.
Yeah.
There was one on the song "We Turn Red" that I was just like, "What is this?" So, Mike, maybe you may need to translate the meaning of this one for me. But do you want? And I'm going to only do it in the melody, the Kiedis melody that I know.
Okay.
Do you want to go dancing in Chicago? Trinidad's got it bad for Tobago. Take me to the lake. Take me to the lake where we do the avocado. Hallelujah. A desperado.
That's a perfect example. That's a perfect example. Like,
there's no content there.
What is the avocado? I didn't know there was a dance called.
It doesn't matter. No, I know you're making fun of that, but only Anthony Kiedis can do that. Only Anthony Kiedis can do that, and he gets that, and that's what he's giving you.
I like that.
And in that respect, it's not bad. I mean, it's a shitty lyric.
Yeah.
But he gets it.
It's his own. It's his family.
Exactly. Which is exactly what John said earlier, is you can't try to make music for anybody. Like, he's just writing what he knows, and he's I mean, I don't want to say writing what he knows because he's not dancing in an avocado or whatever you said, but that's his style, that's his personality.
He's the lake where we do the avocado, and that's assuming it's a famous dance. The avocado is a famous dance originated from Chicago. And you have to be a desperado, a holy desperado, to perfectly execute this maneuver.
Definitely he wasn't just like saying stuff that rhymed that had no meaning. There's definitely some meaning there, right?
But even if he was, let's say he was just saying things that were rhyming with no meaning. That's kind of his thing. That's kind of his.
He is, and that's one place where I do take issue with him, is that I feel like there are times where, like that, where he's just phoning it in. Where I do agree that he's the only person who can get away with it.
Right.
I feel a little bit like he realized at a certain point he could get away with this stuff, and then just like some songs, he's like, all right, I'm just gonna do my like stream of conscious nonsense stuff for this one, and it's gonna be great. Everyone's gonna love it, and like he doesn't care. And I mean, I can't judge him his intentions, but that's how it feels to me. Especially hearing a song like Under the Bridge, or even like Soul to Squeeze, or a lot of other really good ones. I'm like, he's clearly got it in him to dig deeper than that, you know. Like, so sometimes it does bother me because I know he's can write these really great songs, and then when he does that Avocado by the Lake routine, I feel like he's just not trying.
He's not being a true desperado in this moment.
More of an avocado.
Yeah, more of an avocado, less of a desperado.
Is that the same song, Joe, where it starts out like, where you want to go, what you want to be? I've got a ticket, so ride with me.
No.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I feel like you're trying to make a case against, and all you're doing.
A little bit, yeah.
It's like in Star Wars. It's like, you can strike me down, Darth, but I'll only return more powerful than you can ever imagine. That's what you're doing right now. That's what you're doing right now. You're just feeding my love.
Yeah, I hear that. It's a controversial pick, and I think that's
Fun.
Which is like Californication. Every lyric in that song is so pertinent to the California experience. He's just.
There is a lyric in, I don't know the song. It just popped in my head. It was the one that really was like, all right, this is the only credit I'll ever give him. But I believe the lyric is, music is the great communicator, used through sticks to make it in Malaysia.
That's like Kanye West one time. He's like, me and my friends are champions. We all hang out in the Hamptions. Like, I don't know, Kanye.
Wow.
I don't know if that works.
Wretch. That is a.
John, what's the Kanye West lyric you and I always make jokes
about the Hampton spouse.
Yeah, I'll come on your Hampton spouse, right on her Hampton blouse, come on her or whatever. Yeah, it's a lot of rhyming the words.
I feel like Nicole just walked in. Right?
I'll come on your Hampton spouse in your Hampton house, on your Hampton
mouse.
Yeah, he just rhymes that word a lot, and it's really, really funny.
It's like dirty Dr. Seuss kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard his song "Lift Yourself"?
Mm-mm.
All right, here's a line. This is a legitimate straight line from it. Poopity scoop, scoop diddy whoop, whoop dick scoop dick poop, poop dick scoopity whoop, whoopity scoop whoop poop, poop diddy whoop scoop poop poop, poop diddy whoop diddy scoop, whoop diddy scoop poop.
Get that man a Grammy.
That's a real song. That's a real song. It was going to be on one of my health songs. That was going to be my pick, but it was only number 17 out of the 20 something I rated on my least favorite, but that is there.
You got to respect the lack of giving any fucks, though.
Zero. No fucks were given in the making of that song. Zero.
He's just saying vowels.
I feel like that's something he would say to his child that somebody recorded over the little two-way radio.
He actually wrote that while he was changing his son's diaper.
Did he whoop? So good.
Good choices, Mike.
All right, interesting, Mike. So who's next?
Joe.
I will go next. So 6 questions helped me narrow down my favorite lyricist of all time, because I was juggling about 15 or 20 different artists that I love and couldn't figure out what I was going to pick for my favorite lyricist. So question 1, I asked myself is, do they have 0 filler lines? Number 2 is, are the lyrics oozing with personality?
Much like myself.
Much like Mike Baby. And are the lyrics highly relatable?
Much like myself.
Yep. And examples of excellent alliteration. And question number 5 and 6, most importantly, is, did they write a minimum of 3 songs from the perspective of a cat?
What?
Yep.
I didn't see that one coming.
Number 6, did they write a song about legendary NHL goalie Gump Worsley and pull off the song? So these are my 6. So my favorite lyricist of all time is Canadian singer-songwriter John K. Sampson. He's from Winnipeg. He's known for being the bassist of a punk band called Propagandhi and the singer and main songwriter of the Weaker Thans that were an indie band from 1997 to 2014. What I decided to do was I didn't have my notes and my string graph and my charts and all of that. I didn't have that for this one. I wanted to just kind of pick my favorite lines, almost like little haikus or little segments of songs that were my favorite through the whole catalog, if that's okay. This song of his called One Great City. He says, in the dollar store, the clerk is closing up and counting loonies, trying not to say, I hate Winnipeg. And that's the hook of the song. The hook of the song of the song One Great City is I hate Winnipeg. On his song Reconstruction Site, one of my favorite lyrics of all time, he says, buy me a shiny new machine that runs on lies and gasoline and all those batteries we stole from smoke alarms, and disassembles my despair. It never took me anywhere. It never once bought me a drink. Like, that line is
Really good.
I'm hearing these lines and I'm like, where did you come from, sir? Like, what? I was listening to a lot of bands at this time, and I was writing my third EP in my band Transit, and I remember hearing this band like late to the game and being like, where the hell did this band come from? Another lyric off Reconstruction Site, and I'm broke like a bad joke that somebody's uncle told at a wedding reception in 1972.
Very specific.
Very specific. Still killing it. I want to know this joke. I want
to know the person's name of the uncle.
Yeah, like it just pulls you in. The first song I heard by this band is called Aside, and this is my favorite line off of that song. It goes, I'm terrified of telephones and shopping malls and knives. We're drowning in the pools of other lives. We rely a bit too heavily on alcohol and irony, getting clobbered by the courtesy and love with love and lousy poetry. He's basically telling you, this is who I am. Like, this is like in all my the good and bad, and like his whole perspective on relationships with his friends and how he interacts with the outside world.
If I had to rate the order of those 3 things that I was the most afraid of, from least afraid to most afraid, I would go telephones, shopping malls, knives. I think knives would be the conclusive thing that I'm most afraid of.
You might put at the top of the list.
Yeah. That's all I got.
I don't know. During COVID time, I would be pretty afraid of a shopping mall.
That's a great point.
I was anticipating that.
This one's one of my favorites. Another lyric from the same song, Reconstruction Site. He goes, I'm afloat, and I think he's being sarcastic on like how happy he is or how bubbly or chipper he is. He's saying, I'm afloat in a summer parade up the street in the town that you were born in, with a girl at the top wearing tulle and a miss somewhere sash waving like the queen. And it's just a visual. He's writing a movie. He's basically putting this whole image in your head, and it's, again, so specific, and I can see where everything is, all the moving parts and pieces of this story, and it's beautiful. Another one off his song Left and Leaving. I only got a couple more. I'm getting to the Cat song too, and the NHL goalie song, which I'm very excited for. Duct tape and soldered wires, new words for old desires, and every birthday card I threw away. It's like he's just game over. He just shuts down the song with every one of these powerful lyrics.
He's no Anthony Kiedis, though.
Move it over here, because I'm a dubba dubba. Hip hip hibba. He's no desperado. He's not a desperado lyrically, but he's
gonna whip your
closing in on avocado. You breathe in 40 years of failing to describe a feeling. I breathe out smoke against the window and trace the letters in your name. Like, again, like these are like some of these are the small lyrics that you kind of overlook in the song, and he's just on another level. Here are the Cat lines. These are my favorite. Virtute at Rest. This is on his solo stuff outside from his main band, the Weaker Thans. in the back of your brain where the memories flicker, and I paw at the synapse, bright bits of string. And I don't know if I think he wrote that. I think that's the third Cat song. So I'm not going in the direct order, but this is my favorite. I'll skip the second one. I'm kind of going on too long. This is a song called Plea from a Cat Named Virtute. And it's the cat trying to give John advice. That's what I think the song is about. It's like the cat trying to cheer him up. And this is like, I don't even know where you get this. We come up with this perspective of songwriting, but he's like, I'll cater with all the birds that I can kill. Let their tiny feathers fill disappointment. Lie down and lick the sorrow from your skin. Scratch the terror and begin to believe you're strong. All you ever want to do is drink and watch TV. And frankly, that thing doesn't really interest me. I swear I'm going to bite you hard and taste your tinny blood. If you don't stop the self-defeating lies you've been repeating since the day you brought me home, I know you're strong. Like, he's describing the way blood tastes from a cat. Like, he's just so crazy, and it's so well written, and it's so beautiful. Like, I never thought a song from the perspective of a cat trying to make his owner feel better about his life make me want to cry. Like, and I feel like it's just insane. It's like, you know what I mean? It's this alternate universe. Like, where the hell did this guy come from? And that's why he's my favorite. And last but not least, Elegy of Gump Worsley. So Gump Worsley is a Hall of Fame New York Rangers goalie who didn't wear a mask until his final season. 21 years of an NHL career. And his lyric is, he swore he was never afraid of the puck. We believe him. If anyone asks, his inscription should read, my face was my mask. So
It's really good.
That's
John
amazing.
K. Sampson, he's my favorite of all time. And those are my favorite lines from all of his work.
Wow.
Really good.
Damn, man. You definitely made a better case than Mike maybe did.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
One thing that's really interesting about him, I would agree, is probably one of the best lyricists of the past 20 years. Also really underrated too, I feel like, or just maybe not as known, maybe not underrated, but really not well known, which I think is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's interesting the way, like, the lines you're reading, like there's these little bits that you take out of these songs, and they're not even, like you said, they're not even like the hook of the song or the chorus. And it was interesting in looking at like Bob Dylan's songs, I could definitely take some little sections like that to illustrate what an amazing lyricist he is. But a lot of times I feel like you need the context of his entire song to kind of like really pull it all together and get like the magnitude of how good of a lyricist he is. And it's amazing that he has that thing where you can just take 2 lines from any song and just be like, hey, how about this? This is amazing. Completely independent of the song or anything. And
Yeah.
just really impressive.
Yeah.
I really like that cat song. I wonder if my cat thinks.
3.
Yeah. Oh, he's got 3 cat songs.
3 cat songs, and they're all good. And you're like, how did you do this? And a song about a goalie. How did you do this? Like, how did you were brave enough to go with that concept and then deliver it so like effortlessly. I don't know. I'm very thankful I found this this band, The Weaker Thans. If you haven't heard them, listen, definitely check them out. And it definitely just changes. I would say if you like Death Cab for Cutie, you would definitely like The Weaker Thans. And I think that that's how I found them. I was listening to Margot and the Nuclear So-and-So's, Rilo Kiley, Death Cab, and then I found The Weaker Thans through that. But yeah, definitely my favorite.
Nice. I'll check him out.
All right.
Also, I'm going to look into this Bob. What was your guys, John? Bob Dylan? Yeah, I'm going to look into that too.
Dillon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I gotta say though, for real though, I know that everybody knows Bob Dylan, but I feel like it gets taken for granted where people are just like, oh yeah, Bob Dylan's good. But like how many people are sitting down and like actually listening to Bob Dylan, especially like people under 40 or something, you know, like
Mike Howell is.
Mike Howell definitely is. He under 40 though?
I don't know.
You have to do a deep dive if you love music and you love lyrics. You have to have a time in your life where you deep dive on Bob Dylan.
I agree. I think you can't just take it for granted and be like, oh yeah, he's good, I like his stuff. Like
Right.
you have to really spend some time.
Yeah.
So if you're an aspiring songwriter out there that's
especially, yeah.
Definitely.
Not bad.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
Bring us home.
I don't
Bring
have a
us
whole
home,
lot.
Greg.
You don't
I
have a
don't have a
whole
whole
lot.
lot. I had a hard time with this topic because there's just so many favorites that I have. I love Rodriguez, Sixto Rodriguez. He's great. He's very similar to Bob Dylan. I love Jay-Z's lyrics. He's a genius. James Murphy from LCD Sound System. The Beastie Boys, all three of them. I can't even like pick. MCA is my favorite. And I, up until about an hour ago, MCA was going to be my favorite lyricist. But after hearing everybody, it's like, man, I really dropped the ball this week. But I think with lyrics, like even like Conor Oberst is up there, but Joe said something that it matters on where you are in your life when you hear certain things.
Mhm.
And I think the one that probably had the most impact would be James Murphy of LCD Sound System, just because all of their latest albums were just great. And he has a very nostalgic kind of like make you feel good style to his lyrics and like the stories he's telling. And he sings about like feelings and like how you're feeling at a certain moment. And I've always kind of related to that very, very, very well. There's songs called All My Friends. There's a song called Home. Those two are like his best writing that he's done. And they just also make you feel good. I do like lyrics that make you feel good, whereas like you sit there and listen to Bright Eyes for an hour, you're not feeling good.
Yeah.
You're feeling very sad. But lyrically, they're great. They're amazing lyrics. And the same thing with like Isaac Rock. I mean, their lyrics are great, but you don't always feel good. And I tend to lean towards wanting to feel good from a song. And have that good memory. Like, and also too, I took into account the lyrics being like how you felt when you hear them like live for the first time too, like the environment you're in, like when you hear like All My Friends or Home live at a concert, the environment and the way everybody else is feeling, it's just like radiating in the room, and it's a very positive thing, which is important, I think, because you're not going to have that positive feeling when you're listening to Anthony Kiedis do scat music at the Palladium or something. It's going to be.
Well, some
He
people
only does it at the Palladium.
Some people do. But yeah, I think the emotion that lyrics can bring out of you
He's
is
at the
very important.
amphitheater. He just sits down in acoustic guitar. But at the Palladium, move it
Yeah.
over here because I'm a zibba zibba.
Yeah.
He is a zibba zibba. Like you can't. That's a factual lyric. You can't argue that.
Also, dip dip dibba dibba dip dip dibba. 1, 2, 3. Come take a ride and ride with me. Roller coaster
Mind blown.
of love.
So I guess my
your eyes.
I guess my pick would be James Murphy, and his knowledge on old music really shows. Like he's big into the old club scene of New York and all that stuff, and he'll DJ on the side and like do gigs and like play some really awesome music, lyrically like good stuff, and dance music. But that's who I'm gonna stick with. I was listening to Beastie Boys for the past 3 days, and I think the reason I picked them is because the maturity of their lyrics got so good from beginning until end. Like their first album, it's very like goofy, joking around, and then lyric, like the way they did it, like their rap style stayed the same, but the content is what matured, and that was something to take note of too. Because you can't just be, I mean, you can be goofy rappers forever, but they sing about a lot of like different topics and like more mature things as they got older. So that's something to think about as well.
I love the food references.
But that
Sugar with coffee and cream. Like
Yeah, a lot of food references, a lot of like random like shout outs to other like celebrities or just people in their circle that only they would know. That's what makes it cool.
Wu-Tang
It was just a really hard topic for me. I had a hard time trying to just pick one, so that's why I kind of rambled about a bunch of them. But I do have a fun little follow-up question before the battery on my laptop dies.
Mine's low.
This is just, it could be for Mike too, but real quick, top of your head, if you could write any song that came out that you love, what would it be?
Oh, easy. Big Star, September Girls. That's my favorite song of all time. It's been my favorite, well, as of the last probably 4 or 5 years. That song, I don't know why. I don't know why it's my favorite song. It just is. I don't have to think about it. It's not the lyrics. It's just, a lot of it's the guitar tone is amazing. I love the guitar tone. I love Alex Chilton. I love his songs. I love his style. Like I can't really put my finger on why I love it. I just know I do. And the song found me where I'm like, wow, this was supposed to be my song. Like, where was this my whole life? Like Love at First Sight, Love at First Listen, I guess. But yeah, that September Girls by Big Star.
Wow, that's a great question.
I'm going with Mr. Tambourine Man, which I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And, I think on the surface, when you just hear that song, it doesn't sound like much, but when you really spend time with it and you really live in it and really listen to the words, like he paints a picture there of a feeling and like I don't know, a time and a place I think that almost everybody has been and nobody else has been able to describe. And I think that's why I would pick that, because that's kind of, I think, something that I aspire to, is to be able to lyrically put my finger on a feeling or an idea that no one else has quite been able to. And I feel like he really did that with that song, and it makes me jealous, and I wish that I could do that. So that's my pick.
If the movie Yesterday never came out, there's a version of Bob Dylan never existing and John Nolan's taking that song and it as his own. It'd be this huge, like massive worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah, you know what the only problem is though with that movie Yesterday, or at least with me in that movie, is that I would not remember half of the lyrics properly.
So it would just be like Anthony.
So I would put out this kind of mangled, half-assed version of Mr. Tambourine Man, especially because if I can't look it up on the internet because it doesn't exist.
Right.
I'm not gonna. I don't know if my version would end up being as popular because. Yeah. I get the chorus right, and I get like half the lyrics right, but there's like 5 verses. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to pull it off.
Mr. Tambourine Dude.
And he would somehow make it to a lake and do the famous avocado dance inside.
And accidentally add that into the song.
Yep.
So, are we going to tease next week's episode? Do we know what we're doing?
My song would be Party in the USA. I would be a millionaire.
Oh, we do? Wait, what?
Oh, man.
Oh, your song. Yeah, Party in the USA.
My song, Party in the USA. If I wrote that song, I would be a goddamn millionaire. Sorry, gosh darn millionaire.
We're allowed to use profanity. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to get a tag on iTunes.
That's true.
But if we're assuming that I have the vocal prowess, then my pick would be I Remember You by Skid Row. But if it's just a song that I wish I wrote, it would be Party in the USA. Or Call Me Maybe. Call Me Maybe would be my second pick.
You're mostly looking at it for like financial gain.
Yeah. You just want to cash out.
Well, that's how I live my life, John.
Yeah.
Joe.
You're doing okay.
I mean, I've got 2 sweet pictures of other people's backyards. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I thought those were windows this whole time.
Yeah.
Wait, did you? Yeah, to my backyard. Yeah. I've got 2.
Those are just paintings.
Yeah.
Wait, no, I want to change my answer. The song that I wish I would have written was "I Am a Real American, Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life. Dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
That's Hulk Hogan, is that right?
It is,
Yeah.
In the wrestling boot band.
I would even settle for just being a member of the wrestling boot band. I wouldn't even.
One boot.
I would be the boot. I would be the left boot. I would settle for being the left.
I could just be a member of the Beach Patrol or be that one Hulkamaniac. But he lives, but he survives. Yeah, I would definitely like to be a member of the boot band for sure.
Amazing.
So what's next week's topic?
Well, as usual, we didn't fully decide yet.
Well,
We had a
2
lot of
weeks.
suggestions. We had.
We're going to do 2 weeks to be the holiday episode. So.
Do you think we should save the holiday episode for closer to Christmas? We got 2 episodes before Christmas.
Yeah, I think the second one should be holiday.
Okay.
And we could all dress in our festive holiday sweaters.
All right. That's a good idea. All right. So but you know what we talked about? I guess we talked about the cover song. I think that's
The
a
cover
good one.
song. I think
I like
the
cover
best-
song.
I think
I like
Best
the
cover
cover
song
song
of
is
all
a good-
time.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
So
I think that's a good
version. Another band taking another band's song. One band A taking band B's song and making your favorite version of the song.
right.
You're gonna have a
This
lot
one
of
will be fun to
like-
research.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like even today, I didn't, and gosh, I'm sure my credibility has already been out the window for the first 3 episodes, but I didn't know Bob Dylan wrote "Knocking on Heaven's Door." I didn't know that. I thought that was a Guns N' Roses song. So even things like that.
Or George Harrison,
Oh yeah. If not for you.
yeah, I thought that was George Harrison's song, and then I put it as a request. Ben Gibbard from Death Cab was doing like at home. He was like doing covers at home, and you would put in the request, and I was like, yeah, George Harrison, Enough for You, and he's like, well, funny story. That's about Dylan's song. You fool.
Actually.
And he was like, he didn't know how to say your
Name. And then he made
he
fun
didn't know how to say your Instagram name. He was like, all right, Joe Bit Transma. Joe Bit.
Like-
made fun of twice by one of my favorite songwriters, and he covered the song of a double cover, a cover of a cover, and he killed it. That might be mine. It's gonna be him covering the cover.
Right. Right.
One shot.
After making fun of you brutally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bob Barker told me to go home when I was in Hollywood, and I went to go to a taping of Price is Right. And I told Bob Barker I was an actor, and he told me, I said, like, what's some advice? And he goes, go home.
Mm.
Like, all right, thanks, man.
Wait, were you a contestant, or did he just talk to you in the audience?
No. I was an audience member, and in between commercial breaks, he fields questions from the audience, and I raised my hand because Price is Right is the longest running TV series of all time, and I said, Bob, what is your secret? And he goes, oh, are you an actor? And I said, yeah, I am. And he goes, go home. All right. I didn't know if he meant just that day or like if forever, like move back to North Carolina, but
I think
but
he
I did.
forever. And you took his advice.
I did. Look at me now. Joke's on you, Bob. I don't see you on this podcast.
All right. All right, let's wrap this up. I gotta go eat.
All right, sounds
Good
good.
idea.
All right,
See
good
you
work,
later.
everybody. We'll reconvene for best cover song
Mm-hmm.
ever next week. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.